What happens when one of Hollywood's most beloved actresses faces off with one of television's most controversial hosts? You're about to find out. The encounter between Julia Roberts and Joy Behar on The View quickly became the most talked about television moment of the year. Before we dive into this explosive confrontation, which ended with security being called and Julia Roberts storming off set, make sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a comment, because this story is absolutely wild. The tension in the studio was instant the moment Julia Roberts stepped onto the View set. She was there to promote her latest film, a heartfelt drama about working mothers balancing career and family. What should have been a routine promotional appearance quickly turned tense when Joy Behar decided to go personal. "So, Julia," Joy began, that signature smirk in place, "your new movie is about working mothers. But let's talk about your real life. You've been married 3 times now. And some people say you might not exactly be the model of stability for working mothers." The co-hosts shifted uncomfortably. Whoopi Goldberg shot Joy a warning glance. But Joy was clearly ready for a premeditated attack. Julia's smile faltered for just a second before she regained her composure. "Well, Joy, I think my personal life is separate from the message of this film, which is really about supporting women in all their endeavors, whether at work or at home." "But is it really separate?" Joy pressed, leaning in like a shark smelling blood. "You're asking mothers to spend money to see you portray something you haven't exactly mastered yourself." Joy pressed out. "You haven't havening." Joy pressed out. "You haven't money havenin." Joy pressed ounds and haven like a pry. The audience murmured. This was no typical celebrity fluff segment. Sarah Haynes tried to jump in with a soft question about Julia's co-stars, but Joy bulldozed over her. "And speaking of your marriages," Joy continued with relish, "your current husband was married to someone else when you started dating him, wasn't he? Some might call that home-wrecking. How does that align with playing morally upstanding characters?" Julia's famous smile vanished. Her voice sharpened, the edge unmistakable to anyone familiar with her work. "Joy, I came here to talk about a film that celebrates women supporting each other. Instead, you're trying to tear me down with gossip and half-truths. Is this really what The View has become? Half-truths?" Joy laughed, an unpleasant sound. "These are facts, Julia. Public record. Your first marriage lasted less than 2 years. Your second ended when you left your husband for a married man. And now you want to lecture American women about family values?" The other co-hosts frantically tried to signal the producers to cut to commercial. Whoopi made throat-slashing gestures, but the cameras stayed rolling. They had television gold. Julia leaned forward, gripping the arms of her chair. "You know what, Joy? I've been in this business for over 30 years. I've dealt with bullies and small-minded people, trying to build themselves up by tearing others down. But I've never faced someone so desperate for relevance that they ambush a guest with personal attacks just to make headlines." "Ambush?" Joy's voice rose. "This is journalism, sweetheart. Maybe you're not used to real questions. Instead of people kissing your famous behind." The audience went silent. Even crew members stopped to watch the tension unfold. Julia's voice dropped to a deadly quiet tone, more threatening than yelling. "Journalism? Is that what you call this character assassination masquerading as an interview? Real journalists ask informed questions about the work, not tabloid gossip designed to humiliate their guests." "Oh, please," Joy waved dismissively. "Don't give me that holier-than-thou act. You're an actress, not Mother Teresa. You play pretend for a living, get paid millions, and the least you can do is answer honest questions about your very public personal life." "Honest questions?" Julia's laugh was sharp, humorless. "There's nothing honest about what you're doing here. This is a hit job, plain and simple. And frankly, I'm embarrassed for you that this is what passes for meaningful television." Joy's face flushed. She hadn't expected Julia to fight back so fiercely. "You know what? Maybe if you weren't so sensitive about your past choices, you could handle a little scrutiny. But I guess when you're used to being treated like Hollywood royalty, being asked real questions feels like an attack." "Real questions?" Julia's voice rose, her famous composure finally cracking. "You want to know what real questions look like, Joy? How about asking why you feel the need to attack other women to make yourself feel better? How about examining why you think tearing down successful women is entertainment? The studio had become a powder keg, and Joy Behar had just lit the fuse, her face contorted with rage. "How dare you?" she shouted, slamming her hand on the desk and rattling her coffee mug. "I've been doing this for decades while you were still waiting tables in Georgia. Don't you dare question my integrity or my methods." Julia remained surprisingly calm, her eyes steady. "Integrity? Joy, you've spent the last 10 minutes trying to embarrass me on national television with personal attacks that have nothing to do with why I'm here. If that's your definition of integrity, then our value systems are very different." "Value systems?" Joy's voice went shrill, abandoning any pretense of decorum. "That's rich, coming from someone who built her career playing America's sweetheart while behaving like anything but behind the scenes." Whoopi finally found her voice. "Joy, maybe we should take a step back." "No." Joy cut her off without even glancing at her. "I'm tired of Hollywood prima donnas coming on our show, thinking they can control the narrative. This is The View, not entertainment tonight." Julia's eyes flashed with genuine anger. "Prima donna? I've been nothing but respectful since I walked onto this set. You're the one who decided to ambush me with tabloid garbage instead of having a meaningful conversation about the work." "The work?" Joy laughed bitterly. "Your work is playing dress-up and reading lines," someone else wrote. "My work is asking the tough questions that others are too scared to ask." "Tough questions?" Julia's voice rose for the first time. "There's nothing tough about gossip, Joy. Tough questions are about the themes of this film. About working mothers in America. About the challenges women face in Hollywood. What you're doing is just cruel." Metterment. The other co-hosts visibly shrank. Sarah Haynes hid behind her notes, and Sunny Host looked like she wanted to crawl under the table. Producers frantically talked into headsets, but nobody dared cut the cameras on what was fast becoming the most explosive segment in the show's history. Joy leaned back in her chair, smirking. "Oh, so now I'm cruel because I won't pretend your personal life doesn't matter when you're selling tickets to a family movie." "My personal life has nothing to do with this film," Julia shot back. "But since you seem so interested in personal lives, let's talk about yours. How many co-hosts have quit this show because of the toxic environment you create? How many guests have sworn never to come back because of how you treat people?" Joy's smirk vanished instantly. "That's completely inappropriate. This interview is about you, not me." "Really?" Julia tilted her head innocently. "I thought this was about asking tough questions. Or do those rules only apply when you ask them?" The tension in the room was suffocating. Camera operators zoomed in, capturing every micro-expression. The audience sat in stunned silence, unable to look away. Joy's voice dropped dangerously low. "You know what your problem is, Julia? You think your movie star status makes you untouchable. Newsflash. You're just another celebrity with a messy personal life trying to sell us something." Julia stood abruptly. Her chair scraped against the floor, echoing through the silent studio. "And you know what your problem is, Joy? You're a bitter woman who built a career tearing other women down. You're so threatened by successful women that you can't help but try to destroy them." Joy was on her feet now, facing Julia. "Don't flatter yourself. You're just trying to stay relevant with a feel-good movie nobody's going to see." The words hung in the air like a slap. Julia's face went pale, then flushed red with fury. "I've won more awards and touched more lives with my work than you ever will with your mean-spirited attacks on this third-rate talk show." "Third-rate?" Joy's voice cracked. "This show has been on the air for over 20 years. It's an institution. You're just a flash in the pan who got lucky with a few romantic comedies." "Lucky?" Julia's laugh was pure venom. "Now, I've worked my entire life to get where I am," Julia began, her voice steady but charged. "I've earned every role, every accolade, every moment of success through talent and dedication." "What have you earned, Joy, besides a reputation as the nastiest person on daytime television?" The other co-hosts were openly panicking. Whoopi frantically signaled to the control room, while Sarah whispered urgently to a producer at the edge of the set. But the two women at the eye of the storm were completely absorbed in their mutual fury. Joy pointed a shaking finger at Julia. At least I'm authentic. I don't fake a smile or pretend to be someone I'm not. I tell the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Authentic? Julia's voice dripped with disdain. There's nothing authentic about being cruel for entertainment. There's nothing truthful about attacking people to boost your ego. You're not a truth teller, Joy. You're a bully with a microphone. The word bully seemed to trigger something primal in Joy. Her face contorted with rage, and she stepped around the desk toward Julia. How dare you call me a bully? I'm the one asking the questions that need to be asked while everyone else kisses celebrity ass. Julia didn't flinch. If anything, she leaned closer, her voice deadly quiet, but carrying through the studio. You want to know what questions need to be asked? Here's one. What kind of person uses their platform to humiliate guests for ratings? What kind of journalist attacks someone's personal life instead of discussing their work? Both women were now standing, face to face, their words echoing through the dead silent studio. Joy's face was crimson. You think you're so clever with your little questions, she snarled, voice shaking. But I know exactly what you are. A manipulative actress who's used men to climb the ladder. And now you play the victim? Julia's eyes narrowed. Used men? Is that your professional opinion, Dr. Behar? Or are you projecting your own insecurities because deep down, you know everything I've said about you is true? Joy barked a harsh laugh. The only thing I'm insecure about is having to share a set with someone who thinks she's too good to answer honest questions about her very public mistakes. Mistakes? Julia's voice rose to match Joy's. My mistakes are learning experiences. Yours are broadcast to millions every day. The mistake of thinking cruelty is journalism. The mistake of believing tearing people down makes you important. End of chapter. Joy slammed her hand on the desk, scattering pens and papers. Important? I've been important since before you were famous. I was doing real television while you were still waiting for your big break. Real television? Julia laughed, venom in every word. This isn't real television, Joy. This is a circus, and you're the main clown. Real television would involve asking me about the empowerment message in my film, about the struggles of working mothers, about something meaningful. Instead, you attack my personal life, like some gossip columnist. The co-hosts gave up trying to control the chaos. Whoopi spoke rapidly into her earpiece, while Sarah and Sunny looked like witnesses to a car crash in slow motion. Producers hovered at the set's edge, debating whether to cut or let the meltdown continue. Joy leaned forward, her expression vicious. You want to know what's meaningful? It's meaningful when public figures are held accountable instead of being treated like royalty just because they're famous. Accountable for what? Julia's voice cracked with incredulous anger. For being human? For making personal choices that have nothing to do with my professional work? You're not holding anyone accountable, Joy. You're just being vindictive because you can. Vindictive? Joy stepped closer, face twisted with contempt. I'm being honest. Something you wouldn't recognize if it hit you in your surgically enhanced face. The studio collectively gasped. Even for Joy Behar, this was crossing a line. Julia's mouth fell open in shock, then hardened into something truly dangerous. Her voice dropped to a whisper, but it carried across the studio. Did you just attack my appearance on national television? Joy realized she might have gone too far, but pride wouldn't let her back down. I'm just saying maybe someone who's had as much work done as you shouldn't lecture the rest of us about authenticity. The silence that followed was deafening. Julia stood perfectly still for a long moment. When she finally spoke, her voice was ice cold. You know what, Joy? I've dealt with difficult people my entire career. Demanding directors, egotistical co-stars, ruthless producers. But in 30 years, I've never encountered anyone as unprofessional, as cruel, and as pathetically insecure as you are right now. Joy's face went purple. How dare you call me insecure? You're the one who can't handle a few tough questions without falling apart. Tough questions? Julia's composure snapped completely. You want tough questions? Here's one for you. Joy, when you go home tonight and look in the mirror, are you proud of what you see? Proud that you used your platform today to humiliate a guest? Proud that you turned what should have been a conversation about empowering women into a personal attack? Joy was shaking, breathing heavily. Don't try to turn this on me. You knew exactly the kind of questions we ask here. I came expecting professional journalism, not a personal vendetta disguised as an interview. Julia's voice cut through the chaos. And, you know what's sad, Joy? You had a chance to have a meaningful conversation about issues that matter to women across America. Instead, you chose to be petty, mean-spirited, and cruel. That's not journalism, it's just sad. The word sad seemed to push Joy over the edge. She pointed a trembling finger at Julia and screamed, "Get out! Get out of my studio, right now!" Julia stared in disbelief. Your studio? This is supposed to be a place for meaningful discourse, not your personal attack platform. I said, get out! Joy shrieked, her voice cracking. Security! Remove her from the set immediately. Whoopi finally stood, cutting through the chaos. Joy, what are you doing? You can't just kick a guest off the show. Watch me, Joy snarled, never taking her eyes off Julia. I'm not sitting here and being lectured by some washed-up actress who thinks she's better than everyone else. Julia calmly gathered her purse, her movements precise and deliberate. You're right about one thing, Joy. I am better than this. Better than participating in whatever pathetic display this is supposed to be. 2 security guards appeared at the edge of the set, looking unsure. Producers debated whether to cut the cameras or let the chaos unfold, clearly aware they had television gold. Joy continued screaming, pointing. That's right. Run away. Just like you always do when someone calls you out. Julia stopped, turned to face her one final time, voice steady but dripping with contempt. I'm not running away, Joy. I'm choosing not to dignify this circus with my presence any longer. There's a difference, though I don't expect you to understand it. Don't you dare walk away from me. Joy shrieked. Julia's smile was cold as winter. Oh, I'm done with you. Completely and utterly done. And I think America will be done with you too after they see how you behaved today. She turned and walked toward the exit, heels clicking authoritatively across the studio floor. Behind her, Joy continued screaming. Good riddance. Don't come back. This show doesn't need pretentious actresses who can't handle real questions. Julia paused at the edge of the set, calling back without turning. Real questions require a real journalist, Joy. Maybe someday, you'll figure out the difference. And with that, Julia Roberts walked off the View set, leaving a studio in utter chaos. Co-hosts sat in stunned silence. Joy Behar was left screaming at an empty chair, the cameras still rolling, capturing every word that was unraveling her reputation in real time. Whoopi tried frantically to regain control. Let her go, she said, as Joy collapsed back into her chair, panting. We don't need people like that on this show anyway. But as the reality sank in the horrified expressions of her co-hosts, the frantic energy of the producers, Joy realized she might have just made the biggest mistake of her television career. A segment that was meant to be a simple movie promotion had become a full-blown disaster. Julia Roberts had walked away with her dignity intact, while Joy Behar was left in the wreckage of her own making. This was the explosive confrontation that rocked daytime television and showed America exactly what happens when professionalism goes out the window. What do you think about Joy's behavior in this interview? Was she completely out of line? Or do you think her aggressive questioning was justified? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more shocking celebrity stories you won't see anywhere else.